and welcome to Times Food. I'm Smita Mishra and today we have with us Chef Emmanuel Hamon from France. Chef Emmanuel is a well-known pastry chef and is a magician when it comes to chocolates. A very warm welcome to you, Chef. So, what brings you to India and how have you been liking it so far?
Oh, it's a long story. I had some contact with Vimal, the owner of Smoor, and he was actually looking to have a new look to the pastry, to the chocolate. Also working more on the couverture chocolate. So I was quite interesting, and especially I had a Indian experience in 2017. So for me, it was also great to come back. And I love India, I love the food, so what else? It was a pleasure to come.
Okay, so the history of chocolate has been very interesting in France. I think I had read somewhere that it came in the 17th century when Louis XVIII, his wife Anne from Austria gifted it to him before the wedding. So, and it's after that chocolate gradually became famous. So, Chef, can you throw some light on the history of chocolate? Not exactly the history of chocolate, so how it has evolved over the years? And what are the types of chocolates that people now like in France?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, the chocolate was first a drink, and it's still, in fact, if you go in South America, most of the chocolate that is consumed is actually for the drink, hot chocolate. But it's true that in Europe, after we made more like candy, and it went to the pastry. So, but you're right. Actually, yeah, it came from South America in the 18th century, and now things change, not so much actually. I'm used to say that there is, in pastry things moves very fast. In chocolate, it's more slow because in fact, we are talking about one single ingredient. So what is moving actually when we talk about chocolate is a bit like wine. If you are not so used to chocolate, you will think, okay, there is white, milk and dark. But if you start to have some knowledge in chocolate, you find also that you have like some origin, like for the wine. So in fact, you feel different tastes by where is it from, by the ground. So in fact, it's many chocolate. There is no just one chocolate. So I think this is also what's interesting to bring to the people also in India, is to discover all the different type of chocolate.
So has the pandemic in some way impacted the dynamics of the chocolate industry?
It's very strange because if you want me, for the last 2 years, everywhere I've been traveling, in fact, the business in chocolate and pastry, and more generally in the food industry, they did not lose so much because in fact, first it's food, so we all need to eat. And when people were, at home and they need to have, and chocolate has something special that it makes your brain feel security. There is one cellular inside the chocolate that is very good for the brain. It makes you less stress. So in fact, if you look the world selling chocolate, it hasn't been impacted so much by the virus.
So, Chef, what are the basic differences you find in the Indian and the French chocolates? Like, how are chocolates here in India different from those that you get there in France? Is there a difference or they are just similar?
You are getting close. When I see the chocolate and some chocolate shop I've seen, and even now, you don't see, but I am in front of the showcase full of chocolate. So I can tell you that if I just look the showcase, I will not be able to tell you if I'm in India or if I can be in France. So no, I think the things by the shape, some by the taste, maybe, and this is also something we are working for Smoor. I also myself discover some flavor. So I try to also combine some Indian flavor with some flavor that we are most used to in Europe. But the gap is not so big.
What's the difference between real chocolate and compound?
If you want the main chocolate, the main difference is when you talk about chocolate, we are talking about 100% of chocolate inside. This means that if you want the bean, cocoa bean, you have like almost 50% of cocoa mass, 50% of cocoa butter. If we talk about chocolate couverture, it means that you have both inside. So the fat, which is the cocoa butter, and the cocoa mass or cocoa liqueur, for example, is the same thing. If you talk about compound, in fact, the fat is not from the cocoa. It's most of the time it's vegetal fat from other products. So you are not really 100% of chocolate. So only the cocoa mass is taking part in the compound. So when you eat real chocolate couverture, you have the fat and you have the full product from the cocoa bean. So that's the big difference, and that also changed completely the taste. And some compounds, sometimes it's only like cocoa powder, you know, just mixed with some vegetable oil. So in fact, you don't get much of the real chocolate taste. So no, if we talk about taste, also about the feeling in mouth, you know, it's something very delicate, something that melts very smoothly. Talk about compound, it's very fat. So that's the main difference.
So, Chef, and the last question to you: tell us about your association with Smoor, and how would you like to take this forward, and what future do you see in this in the chocolate industry in India?
Yeah, but if you want, it's many years now. You know, I travel everywhere in the world, so I see some country like China or other, or like India, for example, which the pastry and the chocolate, it's something is growing very fast. So for me, it's always interesting if you want to take part of this moving, you know, and to, by my little knowledge, if I can help also, you know. I remember when I first came in India in 2017, for example, it was a master class, and few people who were attending this master class, it was for them the first time that they tried real couverture chocolate. They were used to compound. And now, you know, in 5 years' time, when I look, I see that people really get used to chocolate. So that's very interesting for me. If you want to see how fast it goes, many countries now to grow. So this is for me, it's very interesting in my job now to follow this.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chef. It was a pleasure connecting with you.
Me
Thanks a
too.
lot.
Thank you very much.